apologize for that. But in any case, yeah, she confronted him, a strange man to her. She wanted to know what he was doing in her neighbor's apartment, and she says what he told her, she didn't believe for a second.
Kellen Winslow Jr. was born in San Diego, California in 1983. His father was a record-setting NFL tight end and was respected by all his peers, eventually reaching the Hall of Fame. The younger Winslow showed promise early and was a talented football player. He would graduate from Scripps Ranch High School and eventually go on to the University of Miami. After making a name for himself, he was drafted in the 2004 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns as the 6th overall pick. The 6'4", 240-pound Winslow was on his way to breaking records in the NFL, just like his father, when in his rookie year he broke his leg, sidelining him for the rest of the season. After making a complete recovery, he suffered another leg injury when he got into a motorcycle accident the following year. Winslow would make another recovery and go on to have a career with multiple NFL teams that came to an end in 2013. Needless to say, after multiple years in the NFL, he had accrued a decent amount of money and notoriety. On June 7th, 2018, Winslow was arrested in a mobile home park in Encinitas, California, and was charged with first-degree burglary and held on a $50,000 bond. According to a news report, a resident at the Park Encinitas mobile home park confronted a man who entered a neighbor's home when that man got into a black SUV and drove away as the resident called the police. Winslow was driving the SUV when he was stopped by the San Diego County Sheriff's deputies and identified as the man who had entered the residence. He was booked at the Vista Detention Facility and held on the $50,000 bail.
And I apologize for that. But in any case, yeah, she confronted him, a strange man to her. She wanted to know what he was doing in her neighbor's apartment, and she says what he told her, she didn't believe for a second. p.m. Thursday, when a resident of the Park Encinitas mobile homes, who asked not to be identified, heard the sound of a loud vehicle outside her home.
He pulled in front of my driveway, parked in front of my window, which was open, and the sound of the truck was so loud that, I thought it was a delivery.
It turned out it was a large Hummer SUV that she photographed. The man inside, now identified by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department as Kellen Winslow Jr. He headed into her neighbor's home, likely through an open sliding glass door.
So I could see through my blinds. I saw his feet, white shoes and white socks.
She says he wore shorts and a t-shirt like athletic wear and was in the home for about 10 minutes before coming out.
I confronted him and I said, "Hi, can I help you with anything?" And he said, "Nope, just looking for my dog." I go, "What dog?" And he said, "Well, it's a red dog, Clifford." And I went, "There's no dog here." I said, "I'm not comfortable with this, you need to leave." And he just stood there and he just went, "All right then."
The woman says the man's demeanor was calm the entire time. One of her neighbors, a married couple in their 80s, was home at the time and never knew Kellen was inside.
I don't think they realize the severity of everything.
No one understood at the time why someone with his net worth and status would be burglarizing a senior citizen mobile home, but the world would soon find out about Winslow's intentions. After bailing out of jail, Winslow's publicist attempted to fix the situation by saying that the incident was a misunderstanding and that Winslow dropped by the mobile home park to look at homes for his mother-in-law before heading to a nearby gym. She also said the owner of the mobile home were friends of Winslow's. This attempt at fixing the situation did not work. Winslow was arrested again a week later. At first, it was not immediately clear if the new charges were related to the arrest a week earlier or if they came from a separate incident. The new charges included 2 counts of forcible rape, 2 counts of forcible sodomy, 1 count of forcible oral copulation, as well as kidnapping with intent to commit rape residential burglary, and indecent exposure. One of the incidents allegedly occurred in 2003 with a 17-year-old minor. Even with all these accusations, he was allowed to bail out once again, this time for $2 million. At this time, Winslow had 4 different accusers, each one going by Jane Doe. On court record, they're referred to as Jane Does 1, 2, 3, and 4. Jane Doe 1, a 54-year-old woman, was raped when a man in an SUV stopped to pick her up as she was hitchhiking in Encinitas. She got into the vehicle on Lake Drive and was raped less than 4,000 feet from where she was picked up, detectives said. Jane Doe 1 said she was terrified. He threatened to kill me, and I really believed that he would have.
That's still the person who raped you?
No, it's the one next to you.
I was terrified.
Yeah,
I thought he was a terrorist.
You didn't? Oh, he's a terrorist.
Well,
Objection argumentative.
When this rapist terrorist left, you didn't pick up your phone and go 911, did you?
no.
Did you imply that you needed money for shopping, for sex?
No, I begged him to let me go, and he said I will after this is done. So
Jane Doe 2, a 59-year-old woman, was picked up on Vulcan Avenue by a man in an SUV and raped along Manchester Avenue, according to a San Diego County Sheriff's detective. When Jane Doe 2 testified in court, she said she got in a car with a man who she claimed was Winslow because she felt safe at the time. And then during the alleged assault, Winslow put his hands around her throat when she began to scream, telling her, "If you scream again, I will choke you to death or I'll murder you."
Shown himself, $50, for, sex. And I said, I'm not that kind of person.
Can you tell us why, at that point in time, why you didn't plan to tell anybody?
Because he said he's going to murder me. And I don't want anybody else to get hurt. I was afraid if I told anybody, they'd get hurt.
Jane Doe 3, a 57-year-old woman, was gardening at a residence on Lake Drive when a man exposed himself. When Jane Doe 3 testified in court, she said, "The day I was cutting flowers and then I saw him. I was walking towards the orange tree and he was following me. Then he took his pants and then he exposed his penis to me." Jane Doe 3 said she did not get a good look at the man's face, partially because she did not look directly at strangers as a part of her culture. She testified she did not want to look at the man's face after she realized what was happening.
Is there a habit or custom in Vietnamese culture to not look at strangers directly in the face?
Có phải là cái thói quen hay là cái phong tục của người Việt Nam là mình không nhìn người lạ thẳng vô trong mặt hay không? Đúng. Yes, that is correct.
Is that part of the reason why you did not look at the man in the face?
Có phải đó là một phần lý do tại sao mà chị không nhìn thẳng vô mặt ông ta hay không? Đúng. Yes, that is correct.
Did he touch himself?
Ông ta có dùng cái tay để đụng vào đó hay không? Các bạn động. Yes, he used his hand to hold the penis.
What did you do when the man took his pants off and showed you his penis?
Chị đã làm gì khi ông ta cởi cái quần ra và ông ta cho chị thấy cái dương vật của ông ta?
Thì lúc đó tôi nói không, tôi bỏ, tôi đi.
At that moment I said no, and then I walked away. He did not take off his pants completely. He just took off his pants to the point that
Jane Doe 4, who was 17 years old at the time when the incident happened with Winslow in 2003, was a high school student, and Winslow was attending the University of Miami. She said that they met at a party and initially flirted with each other. They ended up walking upstairs to a bedroom and began to have sex. Jane Doe 4 said another man walked in the bedroom to watch. Before she left the bedroom in the party, while she said Winslow wanted the other man, his friend, to watch, he did not force himself or abuse her at this point. The next day, Jane Doe 4 reportedly met up with Winslow and ended up back at his townhouse. She said she woke up unconscious with her face being pushed down into Winslow's friend's groin area. She testified that Winslow was holding onto her hair and pushing with both of his hands. She said she kept telling them to stop, and after she continued to say stop, Winslow's friend stopped and forced Winslow to stop. Jane Doe 4 said she then left the townhouse. On October 15, 2018, Winslow was ordered to stand trial for the rape of Jane Doe 3, the 17-year-old victim, in 2003. The other two separate cases were also brought against Winslow, and he pleaded not guilty to all charges. While on $2 million bail, Jane Doe 5 reportedly had a run-in with Winslow.
And good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Lindsay Pena. Winslow is already awaiting trial for kidnapping and rape. 10 News reporter Vanessa Van Hefty is live at the gym with these new allegations. Vanessa.
Yeah, we do want to warn you, some of the details of this case may be a bit graphic. Prosecutors today alleging that Winslow was in the Crunch Fitness here in Carlsbad when he fondled himself in front of a 77-year-old woman, and they say it wasn't the first time. Kellen Winslow Jr., a once shining star in the NFL, faces the possibility of life behind bars. Prosecutors say while out on bail just 2 weeks ago, Winslow approached a 77-year-old woman here at Crunch Fitness in the jacuzzi, wearing only a towel.
And he then, as she stated, unmistakably began masturbating only a few feet away from me.
Police say it didn't stop there. He reached out, touching her arm and foot as she tried to get away. 9 days earlier, he allegedly approached that same woman.
He appeared to be erect. He asked her if she saw that and if she liked that.
Also in January, Winslow allegedly contacted an 18-year-old high school student.
And he commented that he had seen her in the area the last couple of days. He told her that he thought that she was cute.
Her parents reported it to police. No charges were filed. The former NFL player was on house arrest with a GPS monitor, free on a $2 million bail when these recent allegations surfaced, awaiting trial on felony charges of kidnapping and raping two homeless women in their 50s in Encinitas, and then raping a 17-year-old unconscious girl when he was just 19. The judge this time around denying bail.
On March 5th, 2019, Winslow's bail was revoked, and he was jailed after being arraigned on 2 new counts of lewd conduct and 1 count of battery of an elder and willful cruelty to an elder, all misdemeanors that he allegedly committed in Carlsbad, California. On November 5th, 2019, Winslow pled guilty to rape and sexual battery in a deal that spared him the possibility of life in prison. In exchange for his plea to rape of an unconscious person and felony sexual battery, the court agreed to sentence him to between 12 and 18 years in prison and dismiss 6 other counts. On March 3rd, 2021, Kellen Winslow Jr. was sentenced to 14 years in prison for sexual assault and rape crimes against 5 women in San Diego's North County. When asked if Winslow had anything to say to the victims, the former football player said, "I have been advised by my lawyers not to speak right now, but I do plan in the future to tell my story."